Oh, welcome to the channel, Rev Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, sitting down for a change. Thank you for coming to the channel. Pretty tired. A pretty good day winging and whatnot, and learning and getting stuff done. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Welcome to my place. From a distance, Gosford, the Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. And I just want to speak to you about what happens when things go awry. Now, there's illegitimate reasons where the other person just goes into their sinful nature and they're deceived by themselves and they undo the relationship by a lack of integrity and morality. They've fallen prey to their sinful nature, the lusts and the desires of the fallen sinful nature, which we're all up against, you better believe it. And a lot of us don't understand how all this works. I used to deal with a lot of people, and they'd get out of the drugs and alcohol and things, and then they'd switch to pride and self-aggrandizement because they'd got out of their addictions, and then they'd end up in other problems through their characteristics that weren't aligning with humility and grace and things like this. And we've all had that sort of trouble. So we're up against a lot. We're up against not having the mirror to look into, the Bible, or some other means that helps us to beware of ourselves. The enemy starts and ends with ourselves. We don't want to die before our time. Is that correct? Can somebody say, yeah, that's correct? We want to live for as long as we can. I know some of you probably ain't got things going the way that you would like them to, but if you can just hang on, micro-incrementally, things can improve. Many of us have things too easy, I suppose, easier than we realize. There's things that we have that we don't appreciate, and there's things that we have that other people would do anything to have. So we have to be humble and realize that, where we're blessed, and where we can do better, we can do better. Daily choices have a lot to do with this. Choices to speak to somebody at work that's got a lust towards you. They fancy you, so you speak to them and you don't care who you hurt or harm. There's a lot of that going on. You might have a resentment with your partner, so you decide that you're going to find soothing somewhere else where someone will listen to you the way you want to be listened to, even though it might not be right. And we're up against all these things that come to undermine stability. And does it matter? Well, it matters if you're on the end of it. If you're on the end of somebody else's evil towards you that you're trusting, and now all of a sudden they're just not treating you the right way. A lot of people need to come and be up front. Come and be up front about where it's fallen over. If the arse has fallen out of it, just say so and move on. But people want their cake and eat it too. This is the other side of relationships. It's not easy to find someone that's going to be of benefit to you. And a lot of people are finding people that are of benefit to them only to take them for granted. And you've got to be careful about how karma works. When you take people for granted, they're doing the best that they can, and the next thing you're betraying them or hurting them or whatever the case is without any legitimate reason for you to do so. That can come back to bite you later, because we have a tendency to draw towards ourselves the way in which we behave ourselves. And you have to be very careful how you guard against your character flaws, because they will aim at the people that are closest to you. And this is what we fail to understand. It's beautiful when you're in a relationship and you're in that deep place of steadiness and togetherness where you're just on the same page, you're one in spirit, and everything's cruising along nicely. I've had a couple of women say to me, you're my soully and all this, and I just don't buy into it. Because you're not somebody's soully until they are solely, sold out to you. And yeah, I married one woman, the last woman I married, apparently she was sold out and it was the best day of her life, but where is she now? It comes down to your actions, not your words. And I don't like people saying things like, you're my soully or my bestie. No. Because you're not mine, you're my woman. And I need to perform accordingly. When you're somebody's soully, it's like a game. It's not a game. It's real life. And people get hurt and people get blessed. And what side of the fence are you putting people on? One minute people are blessing you, the next minute they're cursing you. You've got to be a soldier in God's army to be able to navigate your relationships, If you really want to have a relationship with somebody and you really want it to work, you need to have the same mentality as what they have towards what you think is a working relationship. I've had women come in and out of here just for sex and they think it's a working relationship. To go home and waste themselves on family members and things that are just wasting their time without any order at all. And I'll sit here and go, well, where did my strength go? What was my investment into that person accomplishing? Well, honestly, 9 times out of 10, nothing. You're just empowering these people to go and continue in their enabling of people that are dependent on them, adult people that are dependent on them. So you're wasting your strength. And if you see people moving forward and they're progressing and things are coming into line and things that can justify you giving your intimacy to that person, that's different. But if you're just a source of supply for someone to come in and siphon and then go and waste on things that have absolutely and will not have anything to do with you at all, in fact, are contrary to you, then you got to stop for a minute and go, hang on a sec, that doesn't work for me. But we're gutless. We're all gutless. It's easier to say somebody else has got no spine or this, that, and all the other. But again, we've got to start and finish with ourselves. It takes tremendous awareness. See, a lot of people are meeting people and awakening, and while the other person's still in the dark, you can't. Your light, the way you live and the health and that, can bring somebody else into the light. You can do that. And they'll follow and they'll sense healing and peace in that. I've seen it over and over. But when they fall back into the darkness, it really is troubling for me, because I don't want to put effort into things that aren't working for the benefit of the person that I'm with, because to me that's waste. That's psychological and mental waste. You're just being wasted. Your intimacy's being wasted. People don't realise this. They're all running around thinking, how many people can I have? I can't fix that, so I'll get somebody else. Oh, I don't care about the trail of destruction left behind me. Imagine if there was a relationship fact data sheet on everyone. I don't think anyone would be with me again. Have you got the integrity to say that's possibly the same for you? The last 1, 2, 3, 5 or 6 women I've had to ask to leave. And and love them, but had to ask them to leave. They just couldn't come into a place where they were showing any value. And you just run out of time. You're just thinking, I'm running out of time here, and I ain't got time to be able to fart ass around with this. And a lot of women, once they're 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, it's over. They're set in their ways. If they haven't got the value for you, you've got to spot that straight away and just go, no. Because they'll just use you for supply, if you know how to give supply. That's another problem these people are facing, men and women. There's people out there that just don't know how to give a great love and affection. They won't make the effort. They're too lazy. And many of you will be wondering, well, what about my partner, my ex and their new partner? Don't worry about your ex and your new partner. It's not going well. I can tell you, underneath the surface, it's not going well. Because unless they've found a codependent that's desperate, absolutely desperate, and do anything, but they'll get sick of that because they've had a taste of what standards and boundaries are like, how the light can work, what power it brings to them personally. See, there's also going to be supplies that are just not going to be, they're going to be D grade, C grade, F grade, G grade, and they're going to be thinking back to the A grade. Hang on, when I was with him, I could sleep well, I was healthy, he fed me, he fucked me, he showered me, he really cared about me. He'd send me off to work, he'd be there on time, he never let me down, we were always together, he never... And they're going out there, people aren't showing up, they're not ringing, they're letting them down, they're no good in the bed, they're greedy, selfish, they steal, they can't get on with their children. No. The children are watching these parents split up with one person that couldn't go to their place, now this one can, and now they can't. And it just becomes generational. So if you're in a relationship and you've got someone special and it's all working out, what sort of a fool are you if you allow people to upset that and destroy it? You've got to stop and ask yourself, what am I looking for in my life? Am I happy just to be with the dog and the cats and the lizards and maybe the rats? Because they're all forms of supply. Oh yeah, people compensate themselves through those animals and justify it by the fact that they're not giving them any trouble. They'll go around and clean up their shit and everything, but they are means of supply. They might be EFG, HIJK elements of love and attention and supply. But they are, and people will compensate their need for human attention through the pets, which is an abuse. There's abuse everywhere. But they are means of supply. People are very... And see, this is where if you can get out of these needs to have people, or like I've got the dog. My aim for this little dog, the daughter's dog, for the time I spend with it, is to teach it how to sit, reward it, walk it, strengthen it, and help it to know what obedience is whilst it's off the lead. Get it? Obedience off the lead. I used to have a cattle dog. I had it for 14 years. Poor thing died in the end. Diabetes, went blind, and we had to give it needles every day. It was horrible. But if I wanted the dog to come to me, this is exactly what would happen. I'd just go, shh, shh, and it would come and it would sit right beside me. It wouldn't move. Every time I went, shh, shh, it would come and it would be in order, and it wouldn't move until it was given the instruction. And this is how critical instructions can be. I can remember I had a girlfriend named Michelle back when I was around 20. We were together for a few years. Good girl. And I crossed the road without the dog on the lead, and she didn't make it. She didn't get across. She wasn't quick enough, and the car stopped her. And the dog, Coca-Cola its name was, knew the word go, and it also knew the word no. And when the word no got sang out, it thought it was go, and it ran into a car. It didn't get too badly hurt. It got hurt. But see, words are so important. It was no, but it thought it was go, just the tone. No, go. It ran into the side of a car that was moving. And that was devastating. That caused stress for me and her, and the dog got better. But we have a way of learning our nastinesses and learning our inadequacies and learning where we fall short so that we can become, excuse me, we can become better partners. When you get to my age, which I say all the time, 57, and you're with women that are 50 and all this, and they still haven't grown, they're trying, but they still haven't grown. And they start to manifest their weaknesses and their enmeshments and things. And they're just not reciprocating, and things aren't turning out too good. You're watching them deteriorate and fall away. You're holding on to your individuality. You detach accordingly. You detach accordingly. If you run into somebody new and you're going through the love bombing phase and that, you don't go just and give yourself away. No, and you'll find a lot of women don't do that. They'll go along with the flow and attach and detach accordingly. And you should be able to still perform at representing yourself as a decent partner in that, while you're watching what's going on, because you're not going to know what's actually going to go on for at least 6, 12, 18, 24 months. And if you've over-attached and that person starts to deteriorate, that's where damage comes in. Because it's very hard to unwind. Now, that's not saying don't be loving. Oh, I love to cuddle and love and give lots of affection. But you've also got to be able to navigate your mind and your heart relative to reality. Because you're not going to know what the reality is until 2-3 years down the track. Some people have been with people for 20 years and just battled it out. No. If there's a problem come up and it's not being resolved fairly and sensibly, you will crack, you will break, and the relationship will go. And that's just how it works. I'm Rev Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist. Thank you for joining me, and bye for now.